open your eyes, but something's wrong. Your room is still. The air feels heavy, and though you can see, you can't move. Your chest is pinned by an invisible weight. A shadow leans close enough that you can feel its breath. You try to scream, but nothing comes out. You're trapped, awake but not awake, alive but helpless. This is sleep paralysis. And tonight we're pulling back the veil on what lurks in that in-between world, the science, the folklore. The question of whether those things you see in the dark are all in your mind, or if something else is standing over you. Welcome to Bellows From Beyond. For centuries, people have told the same story. You wake up in the night, frozen, terrified, completely aware of your surroundings. You try to move a finger, a toe, anything, but your body doesn't respond. And then it happens. A weight pressing down on your chest. A whisper near your ear. A figure darker than the dark around it, watching from the corner of the room. It doesn't matter where you're from, the experience is the same. In Scandinavia, it was called the Mara, a night spirit that sat upon the sleeper's chest. In Japan, kanashibari, meaning bound in metal. In Newfoundland, they call it the Old Hag, a witch who rides her victims until morning. And in Nigeria, the Yoruba believe it's caused by ogunoru, attacks by malevolent spirits during dreams. Different names, different cultures, but the same chilling encounter. A global nightmare shared by millions. So, what's really happening? Modern neuroscience calls it sleep paralysis, a glitch in the delicate machinery of sleep. When we dream, we enter a stage called REM, rapid eye movement. During REM, our brains are hyperactive, and our bodies become paralyzed so we don't act out our dreams. Usually, when REM ends, our muscles wake up a split second before our minds. But sometimes, something goes wrong. Your brain wakes first. Your body stays locked in REM. The result? You're conscious, but you can't move or speak. You're caught in a limbo, between the dream world and the waking world. Scientists believe that the terrifying hallucinations of figures, voices, and pressure come from your brain's attempt to make sense of that confusion. The paralysis triggers panic. The panic floods your system with fear, and your half-dreaming brain paints that fear into something you can see. A demon, a shadow person, a hag. It feels real because, in that moment, your brain believes it is real. But here's where things get strange. If sleep paralysis is just a brain glitch, why do so many people see the same thing? Reports describe eerily similar figures. A tall, shadowy man at the foot of the bed. A creature sitting on the chest. A whispering woman with hollow eyes. Thousands of people across continents, cultures, and generations who've never met, all describe the same archetype. Coincidence, or something deeper? Psychologists suggest it's the intruder hallucination, a manifestation of our primal fear of predators. When you can't move, your brain becomes hypervigilant, scanning for danger. So it creates a danger, a shape to match the fear. But others aren't convinced. Because some experiences go beyond explanation. People claim to see figures that move in sync with their thoughts, entities that seem aware, intelligent, and external. Some wake to scratches on their arms. Others report electronic devices flickering or shutting off during the paralysis. And many, far too many, describe a feeling that the entity is real. Not imagined, not dreamt, present. Cultures have personified sleep paralysis for centuries. In ancient Greece, it was the work of Ephialtes, a demon who pressed on the chest of sleepers. In Fiji, people blame the Canatevoro, a spirit that consumes the victim's soul while they sleep. In Iceland, it's the Mara, a malicious being who slips through keyholes to sit upon the chests of men. The same word, Mara, would later give rise to our word, nightmare. In modern times, the shadowy visitor has evolved. Today, many people describe shadow people, tall, humanoid silhouettes with glowing eyes, silent, watchful, radiating malice. Some claim these beings appear outside of sleep paralysis, in hallways, mirrors, and reflections, which leads to a darker question. If sleep paralysis opens the door between waking and dreaming, what if something walks through it? In many spiritual traditions, sleep paralysis isn't an accident, it's a moment of vulnerability. The soul, they say, travels during dreams. It leaves the body to wander through the astral plane. And sometimes, it returns before the body is fully awake. In that in-between state, the physical and spiritual worlds overlap, and spirits can take advantage. Shamans describe this as an attack of the night spirits, entities drawn to fear, feeding on the energy of the living. Some occult traditions even suggest that the beings you see during paralysis are not random hallucinations, but parasites of consciousness, entities that exist just beyond perception, feeding on emotion, especially terror. It's said that if you stop fighting the paralysis, if you look directly at the entity, it sometimes changes. For some, the shadow melts away. For others, it gets closer. Neuroscience, however, insists that's superstition. Studies show that sleep paralysis episodes can be triggered by irregular sleep, stress, trauma, and even genetics. A 2011 study found that nearly 8% of the world's population has experienced at least one episode. And for people with anxiety or PTSD, the number is far higher. Brain scans show overactivity in the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear, combined with paralysis signals from the pons in the brainstem. In short, it's the perfect storm for terror. A conscious brain trapped in a dreaming body, an overactive fear center desperate to make sense of what's happening. And the result, a monster of our own making. The demon isn't real, it's the face of fear itself. At least, that's what science says. And yet, the phenomenon refuses to be boxed in. There are stories of shared experiences, two people in the same room, both paralyzed, both seeing the same entity. Some experiencers claim that over time, the shadows become familiar. They begin to recognize them, as if these things visit repeatedly. One case tells of a woman who claimed her shadow man returned every night for a year, always the same shape, always standing at the same spot by her closet. And one night he whispered her name. When she finally moved again, she turned on the light. Her closet door was open. Was it coincidence, imagination, or something else, lurking between waking worlds? Maybe the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Maybe the human mind, in its confusion, creates a bridge, and what crosses that bridge depends on who's waiting. Science explains the how, but folklore may explain the why. What if sleep paralysis is not just a malfunction, but a glimpse into the oldest human fear, the fear of what watches us while we sleep? When you lie there, frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe, you feel that fear awaken. And whether you call it the hag, the shadow man, or a hallucination born of panic, the experience stays with you. Because the truth is simple, real or imagined, those moments feel more real than dreams ever could. So, what do you believe? Is sleep paralysis nothing more than a misfire in the brain, a trick of chemistry and panic? Or is it proof that something ancient still hunts in the dark, waiting for the moment when your body cannot fight back? Tell me your story in the comments below. What did you see when you couldn't move? This has been Bellows from Beyond, where science and the supernatural meet in the space between dreams. If you enjoyed this dive into the strange and the unexplained, remember to like, subscribe, and join us for more tales that linger in the shadows, into the beyond.